Welcome to the 2022 BIPOC Perioperative Leaders to Know. My name is Carissa Brewster, writer for Whitman Partners, and today we have Kimberly Johnson, who is an OR nurse residency clinical instructor based in Virginia. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. So my first question is, what drew you to perioperative services?
My entire nursing career has been in perioperative services. So coming while I was in nursing school, someone gave me an opportunity to be a nurse extern, which was in between my first year and second year of nursing school, and be an extern in the operating room. And I fell in love with it, and I have not looked back. Okay. So I have been
Yeah, that's
in
great.
surgical services since before I even became a nurse.
That's awesome. I hear that same story where people just kind of somewhat fall into it and then they like, oh, this is like my thing. I think it's
Hmm.
awesome.
Definitely
Um,
my thing.
yeah. So, how has COVID, the pandemic, impacted your approach to leading?
It really didn't. To be honest, I think it made it and it helped the staff become even more engaged. You were had very limited resources. Because the organization that I was working for, what they did, they made it so that we couldn't use our per diem, we couldn't use any locum or travelers or anything. So we really had to depend on all of our full time and our PRN staff. It did not change my leadership because I've always been very much an engaged leader and um, really a part of the team, which is what I love about surgical services. You can still get in there and keep your skills up, but it didn't change it. I was always engaged prior to, and I remained engaged probably even more, just to support my staff through it because they had questions. A lot of them had a lot of questions, but no one really had answers. So just making sure that whatever information I got, I related to them, and any questions that I could answer, and I would, but if I couldn't, I would make sure that I got an answer for them.
So my next question is, um, have you ever experienced or witnessed discrimination in your career, and how did you handle that?
Um, yes, being a black female, um, and being black, being a female, those two things. Um, yes, and I grew up at a time. I grew up, early 60s, late 60s, early 70s. So my mother always taught me to not let what other people issues that they have within themselves affect what I do. So I don't let people affect me. Um, we actually, I can give you an example. We had a employee on our staff that was tagged as being a part of a neo-Nazi group, and because of that, a lot of people came in my office and was like, even the CEO, do you think he's a racist? I said, I know he is, but what does that have to do with his work? All right. So he said, I'm shocked that you're okay. I said, it's not that I'm okay. I deal with things in a different way. I can't change who he is, and I wouldn't want him to change who he is for me. That is what he have to deal with. So I take people for the way they come to me, and the way he came to me. We had a great working relationship. He did what I needed him to do, but it wasn't like we went outside after work and had drinks or anything. So I just take people for who they are, and you can't allow negativity to really drive you. You have to come from a much better place, and you have to come from a bigger place, right?
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, you're there to get a job done, and if it's not affecting the job, then like what else can you really do?
Exactly.
Um, that goes into my next question, with a lot of the politics and our social upheaval the last several years. Some of that can bleed into the workplace. And so how would you handle, or how do you advise people to handle those type of situations and kind of rise above that?
Um, I try to tell people, again, I don't have any problem with the way people feel, the way people think, and what they choose to do with their lives. But when you come into this facility, whatever facility that I'm working in, we're here to take care of patients. And we can't take our biases, our values, our culture into that patient's room and expect for them to be okay with it. We have to go in and be the professional that we are, take care of them, and not and leave all the social stuff out. Um, we have to at those double doors of the surgical services. You check your baggage at that door, and you come in. You take care of patients, and when you're done taking care of the patients, and you leave out those doors, you can pick your baggage back up and go home with it, because we just really didn't. You don't need it in that environment. It's too many people with too many different personalities and beliefs. You can't bring that into the workplace. You can't. So, I mean, I live in Virginia, and in Virginia, we've had some serious things going on, even with like Charlottesville, and it's just so many different things that go on. So we're right, like we're only like an hour from Charlottesville, and so a lot of staff that felt like they wanted to go, but don't bring it back here. Right? You have a right to believe and think anything you want. But in these walls, you have to go along with the culture of this facility, with the culture of this organization.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Everybody has a choice.
yes, definitely.
Yeah,
People do have choices. I think sometimes folks forget that.
exactly.
Um, well, what do you think can be done to promote and encourage diversity in leadership roles in the OR, like, like executive firms like us,
Hmm.
administration of hospitals, talent acquisition professionals? Like, what can we do to kind of help that along?
I think the best thing to do is help put the right people, in the right seat, and giving them a voice. Not everybody feel like they have a voice, and especially in a culture where we are the minority. Um, we're sometimes very guarded in the things that we say because it may come across as the wrong thing, or you have RBF, and I'm like, at first I say, what is that? And somebody explained it to me. I was like, well, no, I don't have that. I just was thinking about something. All right. So instead of,
What
it's
is
really
RBF? What is RBF?
resting B face.
Oh, right. Huh.
Okay. I
Okay.
said,
I get that
oh,
too.
I don't have that. Okay. I said, no, I just, when I'm thinking about something, it may look like I'm upset or whatever. It's just, I'm thinking about something. So you talk to me, I'm going to start smiling because I like to laugh. You know, Laughter's good for the soul. So, you just, we have to talk. We have to get people to see and understand that we bring just as much to the table as the next person. And to be perfectly honest, most of us were raised in a way where we dig our heels in and we achieve a lot more because we were taught that you're going to have to work 3 times harder than that person sitting next to you to get somewhere. So the ones that have already achieved quite a bit, it's because they worked hard for it, and they will continually work hard for whatever company they're working for if someone would just give them that opportunity.
What is your advice for somebody that aspires to leadership, perioperative leadership, as a person of
uh,
color?
be open to relocating. That's the key thing. A lot of us are not open to relocate. Nope, I want to stay where I am. Well, okay, then you're gonna not go far, okay? Because you have to be open to relocating. Um, you have to know how to deliver your message and not come across as being negative in any way, but deliver your message in a way where it is a collaborative conversation versus a dictatorship kind of thing. Um, but I think the biggest thing is really just being open to things that are not usually in your wheelhouse that are going to take you out of your box, because we get very comfortable in our box, in our circle, and to step out of that is number one, is scary, and number two is like, okay, can I really do this? Yeah, you can do it. You have to be self-confident and know I can do this, but you have to be willing to take that leap.
Did you have any mentors throughout your career that
Yes,
helped
I
you?
did.
Yeah,
I had a
mentorship is
couple.
big. Yeah.
I had a couple. I had the person that asked me to be an extern. We actually was in the same. We went to the same church, and she even tells me now. She said, "You always tell me that I was your mentor, but you totally surpassed me when it came to your career." I said, "Well, you kept pushing me. Okay, Kim, you can do this. Go ahead, girl, you can do this." And then the next mentor that I had, she was my director, and she kept pushing me and pushing me to go further in my education, go further in my career. And it wasn't where she was like, "Oh, you need to do this." It was more of, you can do more than what you're doing. So, what is it that you want to do? And how do you think you need to go about doing that? And just do it, Kim, and stop procrastinating, girl. I was like, oh, okay.
Do you think like what are like a couple of things, three things,
Hmm.
that you think mentors should cover with their mentee? So one of the things you mentioned was somebody would just kind of push you along,
Hmm.
and say, I think you can do this. What are like maybe two other things you think that mentors should
Somebody
be?
that's going to support your decisions, not try to change it. Just support what it is. And if they don't agree with it, I always believe feedback is a gift. And whether it is you receiving it or whether you're giving it, it's a gift either way. So just as much as they were my mentor, they were actually open to me telling them, well, that's not going to work for my life because of this, and this. And they were one of the ones that also told me, okay, but you have to listen to us also, because we're not going to steer you wrong. And so they have to be okay with going against the grain, the mentor does, and really helping that person see that, okay, yeah, okay, that's my comfort zone. All right, okay, all right, I need to keep going. you know but they have to be okay with pushing that person. Sometimes you can get a mentor that really just want to agree with everything that you say. They're not really a mentor to me. They are more someone that is going to enable you to either make good or bad decisions. They're not really mentoring you to better yourself. But a really good mentor, they're going to be okay with stepping out and pushing you against the grain. Yeah.
Um, the nursing shortage.
Ooh,
Nothing new, but
nothing new.
it did get worse,
Uh
or
huh.
the effects got worse. What are your thoughts on how to shore up the pipeline of nurses to kind of help that in the next several years to
Uh,
decade?
Kind of what I'm doing right now. We are at a point where we really have to grow our own, and we have to be okay with um, taking the new grad and training them the way that we need them to be. So a lot of the residents that I deal with are new grads. Now, it's cumbersome because not only are you teaching them how to be an OR nurse, you're teaching them how to be a nurse because they've never been in healthcare before. So you have to be okay with that. That can be daunting though. So you have a lot of instructors that are just really overwhelmed with having to do that extra step. of, first teaching them how to be a nurse and then teaching them the specialty that they're going into. You have to be, they have to continually do residency programs though, because they're beneficial to the nurse so that they don't get burnt out really quick, and they're willing to, okay, they've invested in me this time period, okay, I need to pay them back. It's washing each other's hands, so to speak, because you do a little bit for me, I will do a little bit for you. It's, building relationships and just, showing them that you're supporting them. Now, the biggest thing, because I know prior to COVID, they were trying to get all nurses BSN prepared prior to 2020. Well, we went into COVID, that kind of went to the wayside because I think a lot of places are thinking, or were thinking, of getting rid of ADN programs. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't. You have too many nurses. The average age of a OR nurse is 55. When COVID hit, all of those that were 55, they was like, okay, I'm not going back. I'm going to go ahead and retire now. So we have to rebuild. If you can't rebuild based on just BSN programs because there's not enough of them out there. You have to have the ADN program so they can get through a lot faster. It's got to be a better pipeline, like what you said. The pipeline has to be there for them to come through. But if they're not given that resource of a quicker program, you're going to have a problem.
Awesome. That's a great note to end on. um,
I can
Thank
talk.
you.
I can.
I know. Yeah, I love it. I actually really love it when people just talk because, first of all, we're here to listen to you anyway, not me.
Oh.
So, but thank you for joining us. I really, truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.